All right, folks, we're going to answer some questions from Bootroom. And I don't often get a chance to do this because I'm house sitting, and my buddy's letting me borrow his computer, and so but it's kind of difficult if you only have your phone, which I've opted for. It's hard to record and also have the full boot room community at your fingertips. And so this is a perfect opportunity to do this since we're here in the kitchen. And so we're going to answer some questions. Okay, let's do it. We'll aim for, let's just have some fun with it. Okay, first post. Okay, even this one is problematic. Okay, so this is in response to, it's about Drive. They have a post that says, "I'm so happy about my collection of boots." And so I was in this player's shoes once, right? They're showcasing their shoes because they have a nice, right? I'm looking at some nice some boots. They got some Nike, a variation of Nike cleats, and then they have a pair of Adidas. And so so this is my viewpoint on it. And this is why I don't want to celebrate this post, because this person, as even though that they're trying to celebrate their dedication and maybe commitment and sacrifice for the game of soccer, which is, awesome, but the whole point is that every time they go play, you're spending a little bit of time thinking about, okay, which cleat should I play in? They're focusing on, in my mind, I think they're really focusing on aesthetics, and on a small level, it doesn't really make that big of a deal. You could say, Andrew, who cares? Who cares if they want to have a couple different cleats? And I think the reason, one of the best arguments you could say about only having maybe a pair of firm ground, a backup pair of firm ground, and maybe you could say a turf cleat or an indoor cleat. If you only have one, that a cleat that's your go-to, that you don't think about it, then what you're doing is you're reducing the complexity of attributing. Let's say you have a bad performance, and then you're going to start to say, okay, well, what cleat did I wear during that bad performance? And it starts to make your effort, it stretches it out, right? Because now you start thinking, oh well, I played in the red ones, but I played better in the yellow ones. Maybe I'll wear the yellow. And so I think what it's doing is distracting you from what's really important. And so I think that if this person showcases not their cleats but their training tools, right, with for less than $100, you could get some essential training tools that will completely change your life as a soccer player. They'll completely change your life as a soccer player, starting with a jump rope or an RMT rope, a ball of any size, an SKLZ solo kick trainer, and a 2.2-pound medicine ball. If those were the only tools that you invested in, and all those tools total together maybe cost less than $75, maybe $80 for a lifetime, those tools will change your game for a lifetime, because they make training more effective and more efficient, so you could have a better workout in less time compared to someone just using a size 5 ball. And so, right, I guarantee you that this player who's posting this, or how about this, I'm 95% certain that this person doesn't bring a ball with them everywhere they go. And so, as much as this is a cool post showcasing beautiful display of cleats, I think new players should start focusing on their training tools and not the aesthetics, right? It's like you got kids playing in the streets of countries all over the world who are living in poverty, and yet they're playing all the time, and they're getting and they're just, it's not even, you get them on the field versus one of these kids who are posting pictures about their shoes. And so who do you think is going to win? The kid playing in the street for hours barefoot, or the kid who's putting pictures online of his cleat collection. So okay, that's my rant on cleats. That's my rant on cleats. And I just want to say one more thing one time. I was in the same player's shoes. I had the same, I would showcase my cleats. I was proud of my cleat collection and my dedication to the game. But now I've just, you kind of shift, over time you can start to shift your ideas on certain things. And this is one of the ideas that I've switched on. Okay. Oh, and I'll also mention that Einstein, he only wore one suit jacket. And so he did that because, or maybe, he had two suit jackets were the same, but the whole idea is, wow, I just found my freaking wallet that I was looking for. Okay, that's neither here nor there. Dang. So Einstein only wore suit jackets so that he didn't have to think about what he's wearing, and what that did is unlocked his ability to think about, to have more deeper insights and think about things that were more fun, and that it unlocked his creativity, not draining his mental capacity for trivial decisions like cleats. And so, okay, I'm done with that rant. Let's see what else we got. Okay, this is from Fun Impact 3236. Gonna catch downvotes, but collecting brand new boots like they're relics and not using them is embarrassing. I don't get the point of it. I don't get the aesthetic. I think it's tacky. I think I have the same opinion for people. Oh, okay. So yeah, so this is kind of on the same note that that I was just talking about. Boot collecting versus getting touches and having fun, playing. That's what the game's about. Play, it's like competition and joy and play. They basically said kind of this on the same line of thinking that I was talking about. Okay, we have a post on Mizunos. Mizunos are cool. Okay, what's this one say? GPS, this question's from Snowball 48. GPS tracker data. Hi folks, I have a Wemu brand sports tracker that my team provided me for in-game usage and SPT tracker I've had for 18 months. The files I get out of the Wemu tracker are here's possible convert these files. Oh, okay. Well, this is kind of a technical question. They're asking, how do I switch the data? How do I download the data and make it so that they can start to understand it? Well, here, let's talk about tracking. In college, they gave us cleats, and the cleats had this little chip, and so the chip, they were Adidas cleats, and you could the idea was download your data so you could understand your movement better on the field. And so I think it's gimmicky because I just remember it was like a status thing amongst our team. It was, what cleats are you wearing? And does your cleat have the data tracker thing? And so I want to tell a quick story. I remember I got into the car with my buddy, and I remember this very clearly. He had just gotten a new iPhone watch. So he had his iPhone watch on. I was in the shotgun seat, right? The front passenger. And he had his iPhone watch on. He had his cell phone up in a holder in the car. And then he had his GPS screen, the navigation screen. And I remember driving with him. This is in back roads in Massachusetts. And his attention would go from iPhone to GPS to the phone, and he would occasionally glance at the road. And this is while we were driving, and I thought to myself, I'm never gonna wear a GPS. I'm never gonna wear an Apple Watch, as much as I think that they're freaking awesome. Like I would love to wear one, but I just noticed that he was so distracted from going from device to device that I was surprised that we even made it out of that car ride alive. And so why this matters is because if you're focused on things like you're tracking your movement on the field, instead of getting to the field early and getting some touches and consistently, developing juggling and dribbling habits, either when you wake in the morning, after you eat, or before practices and games, those are the ideal time windows to train. And so I would argue that it's more important to prioritize getting a few touches in those 3 time windows instead of focusing on your time and energy on looking at your movement on the field. You could argue that at a high level, I'm talking, professional player, that understanding their movement and their data and the results in the game, right? What gets measured gets managed. You could argue that at the highest levels, when you start to look at some of that data, you could say, okay, well, we're more effective. We score more goals when you're in this zone. Or you could say, on games that we've lost, we notice that your movement looks like this, or you spend a lot of time here when it should be up here. And so that's when it can be effective. But at the youth level, if you're a youth player watching this and you're asking yourself, should I invest in a tracking device for the game? My answer is no. Right? I think when RMT rope, right, time to learn, you invest in a $10 piece of, you tie 2 shoelaces together, or you buy a piece of rope as long as you're tall for $10 at your local hardware store. And it's one of the fastest ways you could change your life as a soccer player. Just to understand your awareness on the feet, just to understand where your body is in time and space, right? Getting into one-legged balance, breathing, staying relaxed. You got all these kids who they don't know how to relax on the field or on the ball. And so what happens is that they're panicked and rushed. Even players who've got great skills are panicked and rush on the field because they haven't been taught how to breathe into their belly. They haven't been taught how to use a jump rope and to get into doing some nice rope flow breathing. Okay, next question or next post. We won our old man league and our assistant coach, my boy, got to lift a trophy with me. Awesome, that's a good one. It's a father and daughter holding up a trophy. That's a good one. We have a cleat, another cleat post. Let's see something. We've got a post on the movement of the Nike soccer ball. K Leather out for good. Okay, here's a genuine question. Need advice. Let's see what it says. Any tips on how to overcome defenders who clear away the ball blindly? If I'm a striker who mainly relies on my physicality and score from through balls mainly, any positioning tips or off-the-ball movement advice would be appreciated. Okay, this is a good question. Okay. Positioning. Any tips on how to overcome defenders who can clear away the ball blindly? Well, I'm a striker who mainly relies on my physicality and score from through balls mainly. Positioning tips off the ball movement. Positioning tips or off the ball movement advice. Positioning tips or off the ball movement. Positioning tips or off the ball movement. Positioning tips or off the ball movement. And you score mainly through balls and your physicality. Okay, if you score mainly through your physicality and your through balls, so I'm going to assume that if you're physical, that means you're pretty. I'm guessing you'll be strong and fast relative to your size. So regardless of your height, you're a moderately quick player who has some nice physicality. And so I would double down on that. Right? If you're a physical player, you want to even become more physical and improve your touch at the same time, right? Because if you can improve not only your physicality, but also your striking abilities, you can increase your range on goal, right? So if your current range, if you could can rip a hard shot, maybe your range is, 20 yards, 25 yards. If you invest in a 2.2 pound medicine ball, not only will that improve it'll improve your endurance, right? Because as you juggle, to keep a 2.2 pound medicine ball up is significantly harder than keeping a size 5 up. And so just getting into a juggling habit with a 2.2 pound medicine ball, doing no spin juggling. No spin juggling. You want no spin or you want forward spin juggling every time you use your laces. And so if you can get into that technique, it's going to significantly improve your ability to strike a ball from distance. And why that matters is because as your juggling improves with that 2.2 pound medicine ball, it's going to add a depth to your abilities as a striker. Right? Because you said you mainly score through, you're mainly scoring from through balls. You're mainly scoring from through balls, and you're looking for positioning tips. Okay, for a positioning tip, whenever you do a corner kick, you want to stand right in front of the goalkeeper, because then this creates a scenario where the defender and the goalkeeper have two decisions, right? They have a decision. You either let the defender harass the goalkeeper to a degree, right? Because you want to be close to them, so it makes it hard for them to move, right? Because they're gonna have to, push you over, or maybe foul you, or they're gonna have to try to climb over you, and so that's one option, which is not that good. Or you pull another defender to deal with the attacker, and so now you have two people getting in the way of the goalkeeper, which makes it extremely difficult. So you force the defending team. They have two bad decisions. Both are bad, but you'd be surprised of how many strikers don't stand right next to the goalkeeper on corner kicks. And you have to be aware, because once you get into the goalkeeper's space, I've had my toes stepped on, my feet stepped on. I've had elbows to the head. I've been punched in the back of the head. I've been, hit with the shiver. People, a goalkeeper or defender they'll hit you with a power knee to the back of your hamstring. They'll hit you with a knee in your glute, right? It gets vicious and nasty in the box. So you have to be aware of you got to be aware of the tree that you're barking up, because once you step in that danger zone in the 6, you gotta be fierce. And so that's one thing I'll talk about for positioning. But if you're even with the defender who's clearing the ball, if you're matched up with them where your arm is against them sideways or you're backed up against them, you could create space by hitting the net with the change of direction and checking to your midfield or your defense. But you have to be aware of the right time to do it, right? And if I'm not on the field with you, it's like I can't. There's infinite number of situations, and so developing your awareness on the field is a perpetual practice. You're doing it constantly, understanding where you are in time and space in the field. And so based on how your team's playing and your tactical formations, I can't tell you where you should be when you should be there. And so that's what you're going to start to, and so that's what watching high level soccer, right? Soccer, football on TV, that'll improve. And I'll give you let's go three more tips, and then maybe we'll call it a wrap here. If you're relying on your physicality, you can, and so an effortless way to improve your physical prowess is an effortless way, barefoot shoes. There's a shoe I've fallen in love with. It's called Sagaro, Saguaro, sagaroshoes.com. And you could use these as an indoor shoe. And I love them because I wear my Sagaros for training, I wear them to work, and I wear them to go out on the town. And so this is like this trinity, right? It's work, play, soccer. And so if you have one shoe that kind of hits up all those things, you don't even have to think about, I only wear one pair of shoes. This is a true statement, and they're Sagaros, Saguaro. But I've also worn zeroshoes.com, Xero shoes.com. I have never tried Vivo barefoot shoes. I've heard good things about them. They seem a little bit expensive to me, but there's lots of barefoot shoes. So that's one thing that can strengthen each step and prevent injuries. And so the stronger your ability to explode off one leg, it's just going to strengthen your whole kinetic chain: ankles, knees, hips, spine, neck, even through the arms, right? The body's connected from fingers to toes. So as you start to strengthen your feet with barefoot shoes, your whole body's going to get stronger. That's question, whatever. The question is, can I invest in a barefoot pair of shoes? Question number 2. I've mentioned this RMT rope a few times, and here's where it starts to get very exciting as a soccer player, because if you can master what's called the alternating underhand sneak. It took me about 3 days, maybe 4 days of drilling this pattern over and over and over. Okay, so we have our RMT rope. If you don't have RMT rope, you could use a jump rope. You can use an extension cord. You could use 2 shoelaces tied together. Doesn't matter. And so what you want to learn is called the alternating underhand sneak, because it teaches you perfect running technique. And so this is how it looks. Firstly, you start with underhand swing. And so underhand swing, it's the opposite direction of a traditional jump rope. Most times, right? When people learn how to jump rope, it comes from behind, they swing it over their head, and they're jumping through it. For the alternating underhand sneak, you go underhand swing. From here, you put your hand behind your back and you're grabbing your wrist. This position is not going to feel comfortable, but it's going to open your chest up. And so when you open your chest up, it's going to improve your running technique tremendously, just this movement alone. And so from here, we're going to go 2 handles, right? 2 handles, and then it's double behind the back. So it's here, 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 here. You're breathing, you're relaxing. Even in this position right here, even this movement, I can feel this tension being released from my lower back. So if you have lower back pain, if you've got back pain of any kind, neck pain, this is going to open it up. And so I had to drill this one pattern for 3 days straight. Every spare moment I had, I would, bring my rope with me and just go left, right here. And then from here, you go over, 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 over. So what this teaches you to do is whip your hands down and pop that knee up. Pop, 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 pop. And then you can start to get into one-legged balance. Pop, whip it down. You whip it down and pop it up. This teaches perfect running technique. It's called the alternating underhand sneak. And if you want to learn more, you could search David Weck. He's the pioneer. It's David, W-E-C-K, David Weck, the alternating underhand sneak. Okay, so that's my second piece of advice: become faster and more dynamic on the field, and also improve timing, balance, timing, rhythm, coordination. And so this one is going to be my last suggestion, and we'll end it here, because I think it's a good place to stop. There's a move online. It's a strength. It's from the book Underground Secrets to Faster Running. And so one of the exercises is called the torture twist. And there's lots of variations. There's some variations you could do without any tools. I'll show you one right here. There's some variations you could do at a gym, and there's some you could do right at the field. So let me show you how it looks. Gotta be gentle with this laptop. Okay. So, torture twist. If I'm just using body weight movement, it's basically just like this. Right, it's here, and we're going to the left, and we're reaching to the right. And there's also, this same exercise is also featured in the book The Happy Body by Jerzy Gregorek. So there's some overlap of great, it's almost like skills moves transfer through different sports. And so this is great for gymnastics, but this is also great for soccer and football players. And so you're just going to the left and to the right, and you could even take a ball, right? A good exercise is if you have a ball, a medicine ball, or you have a medicine ball, or you have a tennis ball, you go here, and you're going just like this. Breathing, and you're reaching up as high as you can go. And you can, I mean, already now I still feel this intense burning sensation in the abs, right? This is such a great ab workout, and your core is so important for balance, for preventing injury, for everything. Okay, so hopefully some of these ideas help. Lastly, I'll suggest, even though you said that you're a striker who relies on the physicality, I can't recommend using an SKLZ solo kick trainer enough, just because of the multiple benefits. I think it's one of the most powerful tools for strikers. Arguably one of the best youth soccer training tools ever invented. It's about $27 online. And so there's that one, and then maybe the last thing I'll leave you with is Learning How to Breathe by Dr. Vranich. I'm going to say it one more time. How to Breathe by Dr. Vranich. It's changed my life in every single, in not just soccer, but in everything I do. It's ever present, right? They say 3 days without water or food and water, 3 hours without shelter, 3 minutes without air, you'd be dead. That's why breathing is arguably one of the most important things, and there's a skill. Breathing with your stomach is better than breathing with your upper back and your shoulders, because breathing with your upper back and your shoulders uses too much energy, right? All the muscles in your upper back and shoulders, think about it, soccer players, it's one of the most taxing sports. It's a 90-minute game. It's a 90-minute game, 2 45-minute halves, right? And possibly overtime. And so learning how to breathe, it'll completely change your life. Search Dr. V as in, what's a V word? Verde, right? V as in Verde, it's VRANICH. Put your hand on your belly. Right, can you see that? Hand on your belly. This is when you're a horizontal breather. You want to become a horizontal breather, not a vertical breather. This isn't, right? Most players, you tell them take a deep breath, they look like this. They go, right? That's what they do. You want to breathe into your belly. So give some of these things a try, and reach out with any questions. I hope you enjoyed some of these responses. All right, thank you.